welcome to Sky Sport Next. Today we are bringing you the Easter Jumping Festival held at the stunning property of the National Equestrian Centre in Taupō. The weather has been fantastic this weekend and the riders have been building towards the final, which is today. And first up, we're going to be bringing you the live footage of the Sky Sport Next metre 30 to 35 $10,000 final, with $3,000 up for grabs for the first place getter. Pip Howes has designed and built this course, and I tell you what, it is right up to height. We see Pip there just having a final check of the course. The going is absolutely beautiful in this new building at the National Equestrian Centre. The footing is perfect. The riders have been talking about it this weekend, how well the horses are jumping. A lot of care goes into producing this surface for maximum comfort and performance of the horses, which is always paramount in this sport. And horses competing at this level, they've a lot of care is taken into their preparation, and it's wonderful to see the National Equestrian Centre in Taupō being used this weekend for the Easter Jumping Festival. Now, this is the first time this show has been held. There is fantastic prize money right across the board, from the metre horses up to the metre 40-45 horses, which we'll be bringing you live also today. But right now it's about the Sky Sport Next metre 30 to 35 final. We have 36 in this field. Many of these riders will be familiar to you. Briar Burnett Grant will actually be up first. Now, Briar herself is an Olympic Cup winner. She's only 20 years of age, but was very successful aboard ponies, and then made that difficult switch onto horses, but made it look effortless, taking out wins straight away as she switched into the horse world. She's had a fantastic career so far, jumping at the highest level, World Cup qualifying level, which is at a metre 60 here in New Zealand. And this is home to Briar, coming from Taupō. And she will actually have two in this metre 30-35 final. Vicky Wilson is another rider who is well known to many equestrians. She too has a couple of rides in this field. And chatting to these riders before this class, they're going for it. So we're going to see some very gutsy riding, and hopefully, being a table AM5, we will see many through to the jump off. Now, for those new to the sport of show jumping, they're given an optimum time, so they do have to keep the speed on and watch their turns. But of course, paramount is leaving all the poles up and not refusing at any fences. And the riders that manage to do this first round with 0 penalties will be coming out back for a jump off. And then, of course, the goal is to not only jump clear, but to be the fastest in the jump off, and that will denote the winner. And with $3,000 up for grabs for first place, we're going to see some very competitive riding in this arena today. So the riders have walked the course, and the course has now been prepared and groomed. The riders are warming up in the outdoor arena. And now we do see Briar Burnett Grant aboard her first ride in this class, Fibre Fresh Delphine NZPH. This is an 8-year-old brown mare standing at 162.5 centimetres. By Canaan, and bred by the well-known breeders in New Zealand of performance horses, NZPH. Briar has had a successful season on this horse. In October, she was first in the metre 35. At Horse of the Year, she won the young rider on this mount, and had successful wins as a 6-year-old on her as well. So we're looking at a great relationship between horse and rider here as we welcome her into the arena. And we also have Brooke Edgecombe, who's just joined us in the commentators booth. Brooke, you're riding in this event this weekend. How have you found riding in the indoor?
Yeah, it's a lovely indoor to ride in. The surface is really nice. It's quite open and light, so the horses don't seem to be too phased by it. It's a lovely indoor to ride in.
Well, that's a very interesting point Brooke has brought up there. The horses are warming up in the outdoors, so there's the artificial light of the indoors, the natural light of the outdoors, but you're right, it really does look like daylight in here, doesn't it?
Yes, they seem to step in and it doesn't take them too long to, I guess, adjust their eyes. So, yeah, it's a lovely ring to ride in.
And we see Bri here on this fantastic NZPH mare. She's giving it a bit of air at the early start of this course, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She's a lovely mare. Bri's produced her all the way up the grades, and she's done a great job with her.
And Brooke, not only are you a rider this weekend, but you're supportive groom for hubby Oliver as well. How do you balance that? And mother, you've got the lovely little 3-year-old here.
Yes, Oliver's actually riding later on in this class. I've just...
You've snuck away.
You snuck away. I've handed wee Sophie off to her grandmother. She's here, so that's good to have her on deck to take over the babysitting reins.
Well, that's the great thing about this sport. It really can be a family affair, isn't it? And we see riders coming through and having children of their own, and then all of a sudden you look up and you think, hang on a minute, that looks like someone's child in the ring.
Yes, and they do grow up very quickly as well.
And that was just that 4-fault round there for Briar. Next into the arena, we welcome Nonnie Morgan riding at Starlight Discovery. This is a 12-year-old bay gelding standing at 162.5 centimetres by DeMonte's LS, who many will remember was a show jumper in his own right. So interestingly enough, Nonnie's actually also a track work rider and comes from Hastings. So that would be quite a difference, going from riding racehorses to show jumping.
Yes, Nonnie does a great job. Her day job, I'd say, is track work with the racehorses, and then her hobby would be show jumpers. So she adapts to both sports really well.
I'm sure she'll have her eye on thoroughbreds that she thinks might be able to jump and have first dibs on those.
Yes, I've seen a lot of horses that Nonnie has had have been thoroughbreds, and they're all lovely types, and she does a great job with, retraining them from the racing career into the show jumping career.
And that's the great thing about racing in New Zealand, isn't it? A lot of those horses have wonderful careers as sport horses after they finish as racehorses.
That's right, and it's good for them to have that other option, and a lot of them you see out in venting, dressage. Yeah, they've got great brains, thoroughbreds.
Very trainable horses. And Starlight Discovery looking like he's enjoying the job out there today.
Yeah, he looks like a really nice, relaxed horse. He's got lots of jump and a bit of a dude, really.
He is a bit of a dude, and that's what people will notice at home. There's quite that variety. Some are a bit hot and a bit into the bridle, and this guy just looked like he was having a walk at the park. And that is the one rail down there, so 4 jump faults there. And now we welcome Isabel Jamison aboard DiCaprio CSNZ into the arena. This is a 10-year-old chestnut gelding standing at 167 centimetres by the stallion Eurosport Heartbreaker, who I now believe resides in Australia.
Yes, Claudia Hay brought him into New Zealand, and he stood as a stallion here and then was sold to Australia, and I think he's doing a great job over there as well. And
DiCaprio CSNZ has some great breeding on both sides. Corlando, another very well-known stallion who was imported from Germany, I believe stood down with Paul Folks in the South Island and has produced many top horses as well across all the disciplines, really.
Yes, that's right. One that springs to mind off the top of my head was Rose Alford's My Supernova. It was by Corlando and won the New Zealand World Cup Series.
Can't do a lot better than that, can you? So unfortunately we're looking for that elusive clear round, and clear rounds are what we need to see that competitive jump off. But Isabel, unfortunately, with a couple of rails down so far, is not going to be becoming our first clear round.
I think by saying that the draw order today has been seeded from yesterday's class. So depending on where they finished yesterday is where they'll be starting today. So hopefully as the class goes on, we'll see some clear rounds.
Certainly we will expect that. A little bit more pressure will go on these riders. And yes, the better performing horses. So it's been a great couple of days already, and the horses have had a chance to jump indoors. Do you think that's made a difference for the horses, having that bit of a practice before?
Yes, I think that the ones that have never been inside here before, it might just take a day or two for them just to get used to it. So hopefully as the jumping gets on with the class in the day, the horses will relax a bit more and we'll start to see some more clear rounds.
And here's a rider who's had a very long journey, all the way from Invercargill, Nicole White aboard Lil LaRue. Nicole is a part-time rider, coach, farm worker and student, so she certainly is busy. She's 26 years old and works at the family deer farm, as well as helping to coach as well. And she's studying sport massage therapy. Now, she's actually been a 3-time winner of the New Zealand Speed Horse of the Year. And this 12-year-old mare by the very well-known Sal Francais stallion Lindbergh de Hayes.
Yes, so Nicole's up here for, I think, a couple of weeks doing a few shows. And yes, as you said before, the 3-time Speed Horse of the Year winner. She used to have a horse called Cricklewood Ace, he was super fast, and that was a great class for him. I do remember that well.
The speed horse is always one to watch at Horse of the Year, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. Riders don't take any pulls. They're out there to win. It's great. And Invercargill, that is a serious journey up to Taupo, isn't it?
Yes, I'd say that should take a few days to make your way up here.
Yes, it's a lot of commitment, a ferry ride as well. So unfortunately there were 8 jump faults there, but next into the arena we welcome Annabelle Francis aboard Chick Extreme. Annabelle is a local from Taupo. She is 18 years of age and rides a 7-year-old bay mare standing at 162.5 centimetres by the New Zealand sport horse stallion Corofino 2, and out of a mare by Grosvenor, which is a very well-known thoroughbred stallion.
Yes, when you see the name Grosvenor in horses' breedings, your ears prick up and you think, oh, this one will jump.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, and she's been doing a great job with this horse as well. It's a younger horse, being only 7, and it's a lovely wee jumper.
Well, she's had some wins this season. Just earlier this month, she won at the Northern Hawke's Bay show, also at Taranaki at the North Island Champs. She had a win in January, and the Fielding World Cup show as well at the end of last year in the 7-year-old series. So a very well-performed 7-year-old.
I guess we'll see Annabelle later on today as well, with her older horses jumping in the high classes as well.
Yes, some of these riders do have quite a few on their team at this show this weekend, don't they?
Yes, there's some of the riders will have 2 or 3 in the class, which makes for a busy time warming them all up, but you get into the swing of things and the hang of things, and it just becomes normal warming up a few horses for the one class.
And talking to the riders too, it always seems to be the way that if you have 2 or 3 horses in a class, they're all very, very different rides. So you have to get into that practice arena, get your head around who you're on, change your course plan that's inside your head for the horse you're sitting on.
Yes, and a lot of them will have help from trainers as well, so that's always good. So the trainers can also help them with the warm-up and give them some tips before they go on the ring.
And unfortunately that was 12 faults there for Isabel. So we're still looking for that elusive clear round, but as Brooke said, the horses maybe will come into the arena with a little bit of a better show behind them as we progress further down the list of 36, as they are coming in reverse order. Tessa Ranger now aboard Lavello. Now, Tessa comes from Whitford in Auckland, and she's a registered nurse, currently working as a cosmetic nurse in Auckland. Lavello is a 15-year-old bay gelding, warm blood by Littorio, and out of a genius mare bred by Louisa Hill, who's one of the country's top dressage riders. Oh, unfortunately, I think she knew that was coming up.
Yeah, you could hear her and see her really try and ride forward to it, and the horse just didn't quite like that jump. It's a funny looking wall that they don't seem to come across too often, that jump.
And they've got the false ground line you would talk, or the lack of a ground line, a bit of a half ground line. And some horses do draw down with their eyes and look at that. And of course the horses need to be looking up. So unfortunately that looks like that's what happened there. But looks like they're both fine.
Yes, I'm sure they'll get back on outside, have a wee jump outside, and they'll be away for the next show next weekend.
Yes, put it behind them. But unfortunately that is elimination. So now we welcome into the arena Madison Smith. And she rides another lovely Sal Francais by that gorgeous French imported stallion that stood in Auckland for quite some time, Limburg Day Haiti's 15-year-old chestnut gelding is Biarritz, out of a drummer boy mare. So again, we've got that warm blood thoroughbred cross, which we see so much of.
Yes, this horse he's a great wee horse. He's quite experienced. He had a lot of years with Samantha Morrison up in the World Cup level, and I believe that they've loaned him to this rider, and he's doing a great job giving this rider lots of experience.
Well, she's had a win at Taranaki this season for the Junior Rider Series, and a win earlier on in the metre 20, and it's great to see her stepping up on this horse, a metre 30, 35 class. Now, Brooke, it's one thing for the horse to jump a metre 60, but really the rider has to be, really a partnership as well to jump a metre 30, 35 track.
Yes, it's, the rider has to get the horse to the jump, and the horse has to jump the jump. So, yeah, you have two different jobs. So it's one thing having a horse that can do the jumping, but you've still actually got to get them to the jump.
And that's interesting for anyone who's joining us who's not familiar with show jumping, and they might just wonder what the riders are doing up there, but there's a million and one things going through your mind, isn't there, as you set up the canter, as you approach the fence, as you place their feet.
Yes, lots and lots of things going through your mind, and I think she did a great job with him there, just unlucky.
Oh, unfortunately there, I thought we were going to have a clear round. I didn't want to give it the commentator's kiss of death there, but just that one rail, so we're still looking for that first clear round. And now we see Samantha Gillies aboard Lamarzo, an 11-year-old grey mare, again by Lansing, standing at 165 centimetres. Now, Samantha comes all the way from Oamaru. She's a student there, aged 15 years of age, and she's also had some ponies.
She's come again, a big hike up from the South Island for the show, which is great to see, and she's super competitive on this horse, and I think with the ponies as well.
Yes, I think she's had a particularly good show, and it's great to see these riders riding with the horses and the ponies. It is quite different going from a pony to a horse.
Yes, the main difference is the length of stride that a pony versus a horse has, so it's just getting used to, just a little bit of miscommunication in there, but getting used to the length of stride so you can judge where the fence gets to.
Now, in New Zealand, you have to be under 17 to compete in the ponies. What age, Brooke, can you start to ride in the hack ring?
I think it's from about 12 or 13 years old, yes.
And you certainly see, especially some of the taller riders, making that transition a little bit earlier. But it's great to see Samantha having both ponies and horses. But I tell you what, her horse is looking quite keen out there, which can be a little bit tough.
Yes, he's looking quite fresh and a bit strong. So, yeah, it doesn't work for you when the horses sort of ends up doing their own thing and you're trying to tell them the other thing to do.
Exactly, and it looks like she's just having a bit of a communication there. Pulling up. That might be that she's elected to retire. Oh, that's a shame, but I'm sure she'll be back. It's a tough sport. There's some big ups and downs.
That is true.
And now we see Sophia Blackburn aboard Octavia MVNZ. Again, another quite young horse, just at 7 years of age for this height. A bay mare standing at 170 centimetres by Cassiano. Now that again is a stallion we're seeing more and more, and a stallion that's also very successful on the international scene.
Yes, Cassiano is standing down in Otaki at Extreme Sport Horses with Charlene Workman, and he's producing some lovely jumpers with lots of scope and great attitude.
And Sophia comes from Cambridge, and she's a Year 12 student there at Cambridge High. And she's grown up around horses, being a very successful rider originally in dressage before she switched the codes to show jumping just 3 years ago. And this is her second season aboard Octavia MVNZ.
Yes, from switching to dressage to jumping, it's quite a difference, and she's doing a great job with her transition from that.
She certainly is. She had a win in January this year at Wood Hill in the horse Grand Prix aboard this horse, so she certainly has made that shift and been successful. It's not easy to win Grand Prix, is it? Everyone's going for it, and they tend to be pretty fiercely contested.
Yes, we've got a good bunch of horses at that level here in New Zealand now, so any sort of Grand Prix is a very competitive one.
And we've got some incredible riders with huge experience under their belt. Maury Beatson, 204 Grand Prix wins he's had in his career. That's a few.
That is a few, yes. He's very hard to beat in a jump off, that's for sure.
He's aggressively competitive in a wonderful way, isn't he?
Yes, he's actually a great competitor, because even if things don't go his way, he's very supportive, and he's a great person to ride against.
He certainly is one of the fabulous characters in New Zealand in show jumping. But we're still looking for that clear round. But now we welcome another character in show jumping who's very well known, Bernard Denton, aboard BSF Sequel, 11-year-old chestnut mare, again by the stallion Lindbergh de Haïtis. This mare is 167.5 centimetres, and again, out of another very successful line of thoroughbred horses in New Zealand, a stallion by Omnicorp.
Yes, Omnicorp. Again, if you see Omnicorp in their breeding, you definitely want to look at that horse, as he does seem to leave a lot of good jumpers.
An interesting thing, Butch Thomas actually bred this mare, and our Butch is a very accomplished show jump rider in his own right.
Yes, so Butch has bred a lot of horses here in New Zealand, and again, when you sort of talk to him, and he'll be like, oh yes, I had that one, and I bred that one, and that one's mother. So he is also in the thoroughbred racing game as well, so that's probably where the cross of the warm blood thoroughbred came from here.
And this horse having a win this season in the metre 30 with Bernard.
Bernard again, I think he's produced this horse right from a young age, so he's done a great job with it.
And that's the interesting thing about the sport, isn't it, Brooke? You see riders that bring horses through right from scratch, even breeding them, breaking them in themselves. Others may acquire the ride from another rider. There's quite the variety.
Yes, there's lots of riders specialise in producing young horses to then sell on to possibly a younger rider who hasn't got the experience, and others, have a horse that they've had for a long time and they stick with it throughout their whole career as well.
And now we welcome the extremely elegant Versace C with Natasha Brooks aboard. A very striking combination.
Yes, you just look at them and the picture just looks gorgeous right from the start.
It's like, where's the show ring? And this 13-year-old true black gelding standing at 167.5 centimetres is a New Zealand sport horse by Voltaire 2, bred by Caroline Toomey. And this horse is actually owned by Natasha and her brother Nick.
Yes, Nick's currently away in England following his eventing career. and so he's left Versace behind, and Natasha has taken up the ride while he's away, so it's really worked in her favour.
And indeed, and hasn't she had a wonderful season? She's had a World Cup final win.
Yes. So Tasha's recently also had a baby, so she's just slotted back into the competition ring seamlessly as if nothing's changed.
A true champion. And it's wonderful to see the support of Nick. You catch up with that on Facebook. He's very proud of his sister and how well she's doing with Versace. And it's wonderful to see them both support each other. Two very different codes, show jumping and eventing, but two very talented riders from the same family.
Yes, for sure. And Natasha's doing a great job here. I don't want to
jinx it,
but so far so good.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You know, you'll have a horse that's jumping clear in the metre 60s, but you sometimes come into a smaller class and you think, oh, please try just as hard.
Oh, that was great. That was lovely.
Wonderful. Well, the crowd certainly appreciated seeing the first clear round of the class.
She looks pretty happy as well. Big pants.
And I'm sure Nick will be as well, so it's great to know that we have one. Now all we need is one more and then we have a jump off. And now we see another wonderful rider who hailed originally from the South Island, Emily Haywood aboard Valchetta, now based in Te Amamutu and is a professional rider.
Yes, Emily does a great job with all of her horses. She rides, and I think she also works part-time on a dairy farm as well.
Well, it's a wonderful couple of occupations she's got there, that's for sure. Te Amamutu being beautiful dairy country. Valchetta is a 14-year-old grey mare, quite tall, standing at 172.5 centimetres by Valhalla. And they've had a good season. They were first in the Young Rider in February this year at Woodhill Sands and had a first in January at the New Zealand Nationals as well.
And I think this is Emily's first season with this horse, so relatively a new partnership, but they have struck up a very good one.
And she's been a very successful young rider, hasn't she, representing New Zealand and South Korea in 2015. She went to Australia in 2017 and again represented New Zealand here in Gisborne in 2019.
Yes, very accomplished rider. She's also winner of the New Zealand Olympic Cup as well, which is no mean feat.
No, I remember that well, again on a very striking stallion. It was a great round to watch, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, she did a great 3 rounds. And yeah, she's a very competitive, very accurate rider, Emily.
And very committed, coming up from the South Island for the season for several years, but now obviously making the shift to be based up here.
Yes, I don't want to say that it's better in the North Island, but yeah, I guess the shows up here are a little bit more competitive than the South Island, just with the numbers.
With the numbers,
yeah.
And probably a little bit more, but I'm from Christchurch myself. We don't have to travel as far to shows either if you're based up here. Certainly helps.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, there was some beautiful jumping there by Emily, but didn't quite manage to pull off a clear with the one rail down. But now we welcome into the arena Olivia Newsom aboard Distinction MSNZ. Now, Olivia comes from Tauranga, and she is a student there at 15 years of age, attending Bethlehem College. And she's had a lot of successes both on ponies and horses over the season, but today she rides the 7-year-old gelding.
So Olivia's another very competitive younger rider. She's doing really well on all of her horses at the moment.
And again, we see that this horse is by another stallion that's very well known, Picabello, the warm blood stallion. Bred by NZ Mount View Sport Horses as well.
Yes, he stood at Mount View for quite a few years, and then he was also sold to Australia further his career.
Yes, we certainly do see a lot of our leading horses heading over the ditch and heading over to America. There's a lot of our horses there. Riders, of course, taking them over there themselves and then, of course, selling them offshore. Riders don't often get to keep their top horses, do they?
No, if money is offered, they seem to leave, unfortunately.
It seems to be the temptation.
Yes.
But this horse, being just 7 years of age, has had some wins this season and is looking on pretty good form for Olivia.
Yeah, he's a really nice jumper with lots of scope, and he looks pretty careful as well. So, yeah, a really nice horse.
And he's got his sire's stamp of a blaze on his face, hasn't he?
Yes, very distinctive, that.
Could be why he's called Distinction.
Exactly.
Oh, unfortunately, another four-folder. We're just seeing them all just tip one rail. We've only got that one clear round by Versace C and Natasha Brooks. But can this lady, Kate Hewlett, can she give us another clear? Cappuccino GNZ. This is a Golden Grove bred horse, a stud down in the South Island that breed a lot of amazing horses. Now this horse is actually a stallion, standing at 170 centimetres. He's 11 years of age. He's quite a striking looking lad, isn't he?
Yes, he's beautiful looking. Really nice head on him. He's a great type, and he is by one of my favourite stallions, Casal.
Well, we won't put the pressure on, but it would be nice.
It would be good, yes. And I know that she will be very competitive in the jump-off if she does go clear.
Well, Kate's been a very successful rider. She comes from Kerry. She's a professional instructor, horse breeder and trainer at Redcliffs Equestrian. But she's also switched codes. So she started off as an eventer, had a beautiful stallion that she actually took to England and cantered him around Badminton. Now, when I say cantered, he made it look so easy. And anyone who follows the sport of eventing, it's a 5-star event. Badminton is massive, and Kate and her gorgeous boy made it look just effortless.
Yeah, it was an amazing achievement from someone from New Zealand.
Yes.
To go around and, just make it look so effortless.
Now, obviously, a rider who loves the ride of stallions, this gorgeous Cappuccino GNZ. Looking pretty good so far. Got the little Liverpool there with water in it and a couple of rubber duckies.
Oh, that was a shame. She was doing such a great job with that round, and he just tipped it with his back feet.
And you'll notice there on that very gappy looking white gate type fence, it is narrow and it can be a little bit harder for the horses to judge, can't it?
Yes, it was all white, and they are just jumping slightly into the in-gate there, so sometimes they might just lose their concentration a bit, which is possibly what happened there.
That is a shame, but Kate's still giving him a big pat there. But we welcome back into the arena now Bri Burnett Grant on her second ride in this class, and she rides Fibre Fresh Chassal, the 7-year-old bay gelding by Coleman. This is a Holsteiner and out of a mare by your favourite stallion, Brooke Casal.
Yes, so this is a lovely cross out of a Casal mare, and I remember the mother. She's a lovely jumper, very, very careful and scopy, and also by a stunning stallion, Coleman. So he's got all the breeding to be a top horse. And
a family affair too, bred by Briar's mum, Karen. Very passionate family, very supportive in the sport.
Yes, I believe that Briar's riding a lot of homebred horses now, and it's great to see that their breeding is, doing the job in the ring.
Well, I was talking to Briar's coach, Jeff McVean, last night, and he said she's got some stunning young horses coming through. I wonder if this was one of the ones he's talking about.
Yes, I'm sure it is. You see him over the jump and you just think, wow.
And it's great to have these wonderful coaches as well. Like you said, they're out in the warm-up arena helping with riders' nerves, because even riders who have won a lot, experienced, Brooke, you still get very nervous, don't you?
Yes, I think you always have a little bit of nerves for any class you go in, whether it's a small 90 centimetre class, which sometimes can be extremely nerve-wracking.
They can be colourful.
Yeah, or a bigger Grand Prix or World Cup class. That's lovely.
Yes, there was some beautiful jumping there. But, has she got a time penalty? No, all clear. Oh, that was a moment. It popped up on our screen, but no, we're delighted to announce no. That's lovely. So that we'll see 2 of them now. It means we have a jump off.
Yay, that's the exciting part.
That's always the exciting part. Nerve-wracking for the riders, exciting for us watching. So now we welcome Aaron's lad into the arena, and his jockey is Susie McLeod. And they come from Auckland, from Derry Flat. And Susie is a mother and a stud manager there. And she's originally from Scotland, so speak about travelling a distance.
Yes, I'd say that she's definitely travelled the furthest.
And it's great to see. She's got 3 kids, and she runs a Highland pony stud north of Auckland there in Derry Flat, which is awesome. So she'll have some lovely ponies coming through for her kids. I hope they want to ride.
Yes, yeah, that was a shame just having the first fence down, but hopefully she can regroup and do the rest of the course, clear.
We'll talk about a tactic when you're warming up, Brooke. Sometimes the last fence, the last warm-up fence you have in the ring might dictate how you start the course. What is your plan in the warm-up, thinking, okay, right, I'm about to go into the arena?
I tend to, for my last warm-up jump, to be what my first jump in the ring is going to be. So if it's a oxer, I tend to jump a bit of a squarer oxer. If it's a vertical, a taller vertical going in. And I try not to leave the break between having the practice fence and going into the ring not too long, because sometimes the horses can just switch off a little bit while they're waiting to go in the ring.
So that gives you a little bit of insight. There's a lot to it in the warm-up arena outside, a lot going on. And of course, some riders would give their horses many jumps, and some would just be very, very sparing with their warm-up.
Yes, that's right. Just again, depending on the individual horse. I don't tend to jump one of my horses that much because I like to conserve her energy.
One of those.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's a 20 penalty round there for Susie, with the rails falling. Obviously, things not going quite to plan there, but a lovely pat anyway. Riders appreciating the effort their horses put in. And now we welcome Rachel Malcolm into the arena aboard Anessa MVNZ. Rachel, a very experienced and successful show jump rider.
Yes, Rachel is a beautiful rider, very correct rider, and she produces lovely horses from a young age. And she's sold some really, really nice horses as well offshore and to young riders here in New Zealand.
And it's great to see that a marriage within the sport. John Malcolm is Rachel's husband. They obviously met through show jumping, and now they live in Cambridge, where they are very successful there, breaking in and pre-training thoroughbreds together and producing these top young horses that she does both for sale and competition. And this horse here by Escudo, a 7-year-old bay mare standing at 160 centimetres and out of a mare by Contender. Again, this is a very well thought out breeding.
Yes, bred beautifully, and she's got a lovely jump, this horse. Very correct, and looks like a nice scopy jump as well.
And they've had 2 pretty good wins this season. In the metre 30, a win at the Equifest in November.
And this one is also only 7, so on the younger side of competition at this height.
But again, as you said, Rachel, a very elegant rider, very balanced. You can see that her horses are beautifully schooled and presented. And that shows there with some good air being given over those fences. No trouble there for the Skinny White heading into the gate.
Just this last line here, the double and then to the tall vertical at the end. She went through the double really nicely.
Oh, and again, beautifully there. Unfortunately, just that one rail.
One rail can make a perfect round. to going back to the truck early round.
Exactly, that's all it takes. And, you know, sometimes riders can give these rails a jolly good nudge and they bounce back into the cup, and sometimes you can barely hear them touch it and it just rolls straight out of those cups.
Yes, sometimes it is just, you just have to have a bit of luck on the day.
So we welcome Sophie Townsend now aboard Kingsley Kiwi. And Sophie comes from Darfield in Canterbury, so great to see another mainlander up here with us in the North Island. And she's studying at the University of Canterbury, completing a Bachelor of Sport Coaching and double majoring as well in Sports Science and Performance Analysis. So a very good degree, which will couple well with her show jumping career.
Yes, yeah, she's obviously quite academic, which is fantastic. And this horse, if I'm right, is out of a mare called Strumpet, which Miranda Harrington used to ride in the Young Riders.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a very accomplished mare that's gone on to be a producer herself. So this horse is a Strawberry Roan gelding at 10 years of age by Awatea Splashback and out of Kiwi Gold mare.
Yes, yeah.
Bred by the Kingsley Park stud as well, who, well done. She nearly stayed on there, but touched the rail, which would have been classed as a fall anyway, but that's unfortunate there for Sophie.
She looks to be okay, and the horse doesn't seem to be too worried about it either. That's unfortunate.
And these riders have fantastic stickability after years of training, so when they do actually come off, you know, they're giving it their everything. Oh, unfortunately. It's just unfortunate in the sport, isn't it? Things not going quite to plan.
Just maybe lost a little bit of confidence through the treble, and that fence is again right by the in-gate, so possibly the horse just switched off.
Yes, it is a great levelling sport, but now we welcome into the arena Courtney Townsend aboard Corofina ECPH. And this is Sophie's sister, back-to-back, so also from Darfield, and she's a University of Canterbury student as well, completing a Master of Science in Applied Psychology. So academic family who both ride.
Yes, yeah. It's great to see when the younger riders can juggle an education with the riding as well. It's not easy to do, but yeah, it's great to see that they are trying to do that, yeah.
And this is an 8-year-old bay mare by Corofino 2, standing at 167.5 centimetres. And they've had a good season with a good few wins as well.
Corofino is a very established stallion here in New Zealand now. He's got some great offspring, jumping in all ranges of classes and disciplines. And yeah, so this one, again, a lovely horse by Corofino.
Yes, you see them across the codes, don't you, and dressage, show jumping and eventing, so a very versatile stallion.
Yes, and I think, East Coast Performance Horses bred him, and they're breeding, again, some lovely horses just down out of Masterton there.
And if you're just joining us, we're coming to you from the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo for the Easter Jumping Festival, and this is our Sky Sport Next metre 30-35 final. There's $10,000 up for grabs in this class, $3,000 to the winner. That's why we're probably seeing some quite competitive riding out there, Brooke.
Yes, sometimes a bit of money adds to the competitiveness and the nerves.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes nerves work in your favour, sometimes not so much.
Yeah.
And now we see Olivia Newsom back in the arena, this time aboard Charmed Escudo MSNZ. Olivia's from Tauranga, and she's a student there at Bethlehem College. And she's quite successful in sport across the board. She swims, she's a netball, she's juggling riding as well, bringing on the young ones, and she loves turning them into confident horses.
Yes, very, very busy, and obviously very, very talented at a lot of things.
You often see that in families, don't you? There's a few sports they have to juggle. I don't know how they find the time.
Lots of trips here, there and everywhere, from sports grounds to sports grounds.
Very supportive parents with a lot of miles clocked up on the vehicle.
Yes.
And this mare, again, 7 is a young age for the 30-35 class, isn't she, Brooke?
Yes, and it's also by another one by a Scudo that we've seen, and it's a lovely jumper as well, with a lot of scope coming out of the treble there.
Definitely. We talk about the front end and the back end. The front end you want snappy and clear, and the back end you want them to kick out, and you can see there over that triple bar, the kick out, I don't want to touch it with my back end.
She's doing a great job here with this one as well, as it just was looking a little bit headstrong down to the vertical, but she was able to hold it up and get it just to concentrate to jump up and over.
And of course the riders get to walk the course and you have a plan, but sometimes you enter the arena and that goes out the window when the horse has a totally different plan.
Yes, there's a plan A, B, C, sometimes D.
And then sometimes help.
Yes.
But unfortunately 2 rails down there for Olivia Newsom. Lovely jumping though. I think she'll be pleased with the effort.
Yes, and again, not too experienced probably in the indoor arena, so I'd say that did a really good job.
And we see well-known rider Vicky Wilson now. She also has 2 rides in this class. And a stallion here, Capaccio TWS.
Yes, this is a lovely stallion of Vicky's that, again, she's produced.
Are you keen to pronounce the stallion that the stallion's by?
The stallion's by?
Zangerscheid by Clintissimo Z.
There you go.
Did I get that right?
That
Apologies.
sounds pretty good to me.
Apologies if I didn't.
Out of an Indoctro mare.
Yes, there we go. But Indoctro, again, it's lovely to see. These stallions, you know, we hear these names in show jumping, Indoctro. It's lovely to see that there's well-bred mares going to well-bred stallions, and then you hope to produce something very well-bred.
Yes. A lot of people focus on the stallion side. If anything, I think the mare is probably a little bit even more important than the stallion. So
is that not true in the human world too?
I think so.
We shouldn't say that. And this is an 8-year-old, and it's a stunning colour, born black, but clearly a steel grey, greying out. He's now got beautiful dapples. He's a magnificent-looking horse.
Yes, when you see a stunning stallion with that kind of colour, you just think, wow, and he really takes your eye.
And we see there he's wearing a hood. For people who aren't so experienced in the horsey world, why could that be?
I think it would be for just concentration. It covers the ears, so it just blocks out the sound a little bit. So he's just a little bit more focused on the jump and a bit calmer.
And that's the thing about the indoor, isn't it? You've got the announcing, you've got the noise of the crowd. There is quite a bit of distraction, especially for these younger horses.
Yes, and when they actually touch a rail and it drops, it sort of echoes and is a bit loud as well.
Now, here's the legend himself. We spoke about him earlier. Maury Beatson, and this time he rides Gold Locks. Now, what a legend is Maury.
Yes, he is. And I just went to look at his notes to see the screeds of accomplishments, and there's 2 lines.
204 wins in Grand Prix.
He's very modest then.
He is. But I was chatting to Maury, and we'll probably play an interview later on. Maury's fantastic. You know, he said that the reason he knows he's had 204 wins is he writes every single one up in one little book.
Yes. Amazing record keeping, and I think it's great that he's done that.
And he's produced so many horses himself. This one is an 11-year-old chestnut mare by Lansing out of Ironclad. So again, another lovely thoroughbred line on the mare's side.
Yes, so the mare, I remember Morris's son, Jamie, used to ride in the Young Riders and Grand Prix, Goldilocks.
Oh, so hence the name Goldilocks.
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, it's gorgeous because we all remember Goldilocks well in the show jumping arena as a Grand Prix mare herself. It's lovely to see that now she's got an offspring who's 11, so she might have quite a few.
Yes, yeah. And this mare is a lovely mare. She tries very hard, and she's a very competitive mare on her day.
And that's the one thing, all Maury's horses, they come into the arena with their ears pricked. They look just like him, focused.
Yes, I think when you've got Morris on your back, You know what the job is.
You're there to do a job. But unfortunately, 3 rails down there, so I don't think Maury will be overly happy with that. But, he's familiar with the sport. You have your good rounds and your bad rounds. But we'll be looking forward to seeing him later on in the metre 40-45 class. But speaking of stylish riders, we now welcome Sally Steiner into the arena aboard Cartoon NZPH. And isn't this a magnificent stamp of an animal?
Yes, this would have to be one of my favourite horses at the shows. Yeah, he's gorgeous. He's a little bit quirky. He can sometimes have her on out in the practice ring a bit, but he's a beautiful jumper, so much spring and so much talent, and Sally's done a great job just taking her time with him and producing him correctly.
And Sally's a fantastic tactician. I mean, you mentioned before he can be a bit quirky. She really knows her horses, and you can see her analysing everything about her environment, her warm-up arena. Now she's just letting her quiet look at some of the fences that might distract him. She's such a professional in the arena.
Yes, she is, and has been like that ever since I can remember, actually. I grew up riding with Sally, and every horse of hers is trained to the minuscule dot,
yeah.
And they are beautiful horses, all of them.
And this horse is a 9-year-old chestnut gelding, 165 centimetres by Cabdullah du Talad. Now, she's had some wins this season, a metre 40 FEI 1-star Grand Prix win at Waikato, and at Takapoto she had a win in the 7-year-old qualifying at 2019 as well. So he's had some wins from early on as a young horse, and then obviously she's got high hopes.
Yes, she has taken him quietly this season, hasn't sort of overfaced him and pushed him. So I'd say next season, when she comes out, it'll be, into the Grand Prix and the big stuff.
Well, Sally and husband Philip ride. I understand they've got a little one competing as well.
Yes, so they have 3 children in total. James is here at the show. He's the oldest, and he's riding in the pony division. And then they also have little Ollie and Francie.
Busy family, that's for sure, but great to see James following in his parents' footstep as a show jump rider. I saw him earlier on riding in the ponies, and he looked just as focused as his parents, I must say. Oh, does it look like we've got another one?
A little rub at the last, but I think that's a clear round. She did a great job because he was a bit spooky at a couple of those jumps.
She did well for the time too, because the optimum time, 83 seconds, she came in just under that. So what an accomplished ride. That's what we called it, didn't we? To the letter she rides. And now a wonderful character in show jumping, Glenn Beale, who hails from Pukekohe, and he is an accountant now. His whole family show jump. His wife Sarah's a show jumper as well, and he's got his beautiful boys, who I remember from the day they were born, Benjamin and Nicholas. I think my kids and his kids occasionally would play together at the sand pit at Woodhill Sands. 57 years of age, so he's been show jumping for a while now, a lot of experience there, but wonderful to see a family who's show jumping.
Yes, Glenn's a great guy, and the whole family's involved. It's a great sport for family because everyone can ride and compete at the one show and support each other. So super to see that they're involved in show jumping.
And he's had some pretty successful horses over the years, very consistent. This one, a Holsteiner by Lordano, out of a Senator mare. So again, some lovely Holsteiner bloodlines in there.
Yeah, this one's a beautiful jumper. Very nice, correct way of going.
And they've had a win at the Northland Grand Prix show this season, and also at Auckland show jumping. They've had a win. So he's had a good season. It's been a bit of a broken season with a few shows cancelled due to COVID, but it's great to see these riders. They've still kept their training up at home, and they've been able to bring the horses out and compete when the shows come about.
Yes, it has been a little bit tricky with keeping the horses in work and having them ready to go, but sometimes not knowing when you're going to go to the shows.
Yes, the disappointment when shows have to be cancelled at the last minute. It has been tough for everyone, really, everyone around the world. But look,
stunning round by Glenn, well done.
That is fantastic, and just under the time as well, a few seconds under the time. So that is brilliant to see that we now have 3 that will be going into the jump off. But I tell you what, this next rider that we'll be seeing into the arena, international experience right up over most people's heads, Sam McIntosh, and she rides the beautiful Takapoto Malaki.
Yes, Sam is an absolute professional. She's travelled the world show jumping, and it's fantastic to see her back in New Zealand, thanks to COVID, competing here with us. As she is, total professional and amazing to watch.
Exactly. Well, every cloud has a silver lining, and I tell you what, that will be it for us having Sam back here. And she rides this gorgeous 8-year-old brown gelding, standing at 169 centimetres. Again, you mentioned earlier Brock Corofino 2. So this horse is by Corofino 2 out of a Heartbreaker mare. So again, we've seen horses by Heartbreaker show jumping in this class, and it's great to see a horse with that double up of quality breeding.
He's beautifully bred. He is out of one of her older Grand Prix mares that's now retired, Astina.
Oh, yes.
Who was a fantastic jumper as well. So he's got all the breeding to be a top jumper.
Yes, Astina was lovely to watch in the arena. She sort of gave it everything, didn't she?
Yes.
This horse looking quite calm and smooth out there.
Yes, his mother Astina was quite a hot, quirky mare. He looks quite relaxed.
He does, and looked like he had a little bit of a spook there at the Rubber Duckies. But Sam's shown her experience, a little bit of a push at the last stride. Come on, son, you've got this. And he answered the question beautifully.
Lovely through that double, and just the last to go.
Setting him up, beautiful corner there.
Nice.
Now, I think we called it. Beautifully done.
Yes. Getting the clears thick and fast now. Is that 3 in a row?
Yes, it is. And we've got 4 going through to the jump off. So I think we might see some more. As you said earlier, the riders who have had a more successful day yesterday will be coming into the arena in that reverse order. So now Kate Hurdson aboard Juno SSNZ. Kate comes from Clevedon in Auckland. She's a student there at the Auckland University, and she's also a helicopter pilot student.
Wow.
How does she find the time?
That's impressive.
It's very, very impressive. So she's in her second year studying a Bachelor of Property at the University of Auckland. I tell you what, that's a good degree to have when anywhere in New Zealand, but especially Auckland with property prices going crazy.
That's for sure, yes. Another one that's juggling quite a few things as well as riding.
Definitely, and she's also currently going for a commercial helicopters licence at Auckland Helicopters. Wow.
Yes, helicopter pilot, rider, property expert.
Yes. She's got all the boxes ticked.
Very much so.
And this is a 7-year-old grey gelding, again by Lansing. We've seen a few Lansings in this class, which is interesting. Standing at 168 centimetres, and they've had a win in the 7-year-old class this season, and last year they were winning in the Auckland North Island Champs just in the metre class, so that's quite a step in a year to go from a metre to a metre 35.
Yes, it's progressed very quickly, but has obviously handled it really well and has done a really nice job of this round as well.
Couple of rails down there, but like you said, there was some beautiful jumping within that round. Now I caught up with this young lady yesterday, Lichelle Small. She's a wonderful young rider. No, it's not Lichelle Small. No, it is Lichelle Small. I recognise that helmet anywhere. It was Georgia who was going to be in the arena next, but she has scratched. So now we see Lichelle Small. And she's wonderful. She's the nicest young rider to chat to. She's so humble and sweet. She appreciates... Oh, what happened there? She appreciates her parents for all the support they give her so much.
Just looked like it didn't even realise it was jumping the jump. It sort of just wasn't focused at all. So just a slight miscommunication there, which is really unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. She rode on and AMS Dolce NZPH just said, sorry, I was on a different page from you. I read a different course plan. She'll be disappointed with that. But that's the frustrating thing. You have a problem at the first fence, but you've got to put that behind you and carry on and then use this round for experience.
Yes, that's right. When something like that happens at the first fence, it can be a long way round, but as you said, it's good just to carry on and make it a experience or a training sort of round.
And just for people at home to realise she's had a very good season, so it's quite unfortunate that there was that miscommunication there. She's had a win at Woodhill Sands in the Junior Rider. She also had a win at the Taupo Christmas Classic in the Junior Rider at the 125. And again at Woodhill Sands in December, she had another win in the Junior Rider. So got to be sitting pretty well on the Junior Rider series there.
Yes, very competitive in the junior division and young rider division. And she's also, I believe, only had this horse this season, so relatively new partnership, but has been going extremely well.
And he's only an 8-year-old gelding. He's a lovely stamp of a horse, isn't he? Standing at 169 centimetres, bred by NZPH. Now, don't they breed some wonderful horses?
Yes, they've got horses again throughout all disciplines doing well everywhere.
And they're all beautiful looking.
Yes, lovely horses.
Yeah, the movement on this chap, you know, the freedom of movement and the elegance. They're beautiful and beautifully turned out there by Lee Shell. Rose Oldfeld's now aboard Eyecatcher again, NZPH, another New Zealand performance horse, a 7-year-old chestnut gelding standing at 175 centimetres, so he's a big tall chap, by Canaan.
Yes, another very well-known international stallion, and I see out of him Mr. Bluemere, who is also a very, very accomplished international stallion as well, so bred to jump.
I wouldn't expect anything less from NZPH. You can see, again, there was a little bit of distraction around the corner there, but Rose, a little bit of a tap behind the leg. Come on, son, you've got to keep your eye on the prize, because, like you said, it can be a bit daunting in here coming into the indoor, and this being 7 is just a young horse, probably hasn't had a lot of mileage in the indoors.
No, Rose is from the South Island, so I'm not sure if they have too many shows down south inside, so this could possibly be one of its first shows inside.
And again, you saw her riding on there, so giving this horse a lovely encouraging ride. And Rose does come from Leaston, and she's a full-time rider down there in Canterbury and a show jumping coach as well. And she's had some great wins this season aboard this horse at the Wairarapa, at show jumping Canterbury, and also at the South Island Show Jumping Champs. So she's had a few good wins just this season.
Yes, I think this horse is quite high up in the 7-year-old series. So she'll be aiming him, I guess, for next weekend for the series final down in Masterton.
It's great to see so many of these South Island riders coming up here. You know, they've all got businesses or education back at home, but they sort of pack up the truck, head onto the road and really commit to the sport. But just that one rail down there, such a disappointment with some beautiful jumping. But now we welcome into the arena Jeremy Whale aboard Cuba. And Jeremy comes from Cambridge, where he's a horse breaker and racehorse trainer there, so a very experienced rider. 9-year-old Bay Gelding, standing at 166 centimetres, is Cuba, and a Holsteiner.
Jeremy's another busy chap with a family totally involved in show jumping and also in the thoroughbred racing industry as well.
Yes, I can't imagine they'd have too many weekends free away from horses then.
No. And they've also got 2 little children as well, so yes,
busy.
Spare time, I don't think there would be much.
There wouldn't. And that's the great thing about the sport. You know, you see the little ones buzzing around and you know, they have a great time. They have televisions in their trucks and they will sit there with their movies and, you know, have their friends around, and it's a great little life for these children. You know, they've got their home at home and then there's got the home on the road.
Yes. My little one, Sophie, she tells me how she's always pretty excited to go to the shows and see her show friends.
That's gorgeous. And she's also an avid beautician in the making.
Yes. Nails and makeup with, she's decided that's quite an obsession.
Well, find Brooke and Oliver's truck if you want your nails or your makeup done.
Jeremy's doing a fantastic job here with Cuba Cuba. One jump to go.
Oh dear.
He won't like me for the commentator's curse on the last.
Let's hope he doesn't watch. Oh, that's a shame because they were doing so well, but how many times have we been in that position? You know, you have either the first or you have the last, and they're both just so destroying. Now, who do we have into the arena now?
Yes, husband.
I thought you were supposed to go and help him warm up.
I was supposed to, but I decided I'd stay here.
I hope we don't get you in trouble.
Sometimes it's better just to stay away.
So we have Oliver Edgecombe, Brooke's husband, Hinton Excalibur. So Brooke, I'm going to leave it to you. Tell us all about this horse.
George, as he's known as home, he's, I don't even know how old he is now. 13, looking at the screen. He's a character. He's a neat horse, competitive. We actually purchased him from Rachel Malcolm, who produced him. And, he's a fun horse and neat for Oliver just to get in the ring and go around on.
Well, that's the fun thing, you know, they have their professional life, these horses, but they have their personalities and their quirks and their characters. Is that something, the quirk that we...
Yes.
What do you think went on there?
He can sometimes just duck out the side if Oliver's not 100% on the case, which he did just then.
Blame it on Oliver's left leg. He's had 3 jumping efforts in a row, Dad. Come on.
Yes, so he if you're not totally focused on the job, he can sometimes catch you out like that, but yeah.
I'm glad you made that call. I wouldn't say that about you, Oliver. Oh, that will be disappointing, but, you know, like you said, you have several rounds within a weekend at a show. Some of them you win, some that happens.
Yes, yeah. And that is the sport, highs and lows. And, look, horses are great levellers. They keep you on your toes.
Well, it's a roller coaster ride, and I know we often say to our pupils, don't get too excited with the highs, and then you won't get too low with the lows, because we all go through it. So unfortunately, just that one stop and then a few time faults. That's disappointing for us.
Yeah.
We wanted to see him back in.
Oh well, next weekend is another show.
That's right. I hope you don't get the blame for not helping him at the practice arena.
And I'll just stay away for a little bit longer now.
I think you can stay with me till the end of the class now. So we welcome back into the arena our wonderful international superstar, Sam McIntosh, and she's riding these beautiful Takapoto horses, this time at Takapoto James S. Aren't they turning out some magnificent international quality horses?
Yes, they've got some lovely horses there at their Cambridge-based property that they're breeding and that they've brought into the country, imported as well. And this is a beautiful one that Sam actually brought back with her when she came back to New Zealand.
And he's a 12-year-old black gelding. He's a Belgian warm blood by Verdi out of a Concord mare, and they've had a great season. They've had a win at the Taupo Christmas Classic here earlier this season in the metre 30, and then in December again another win. So again, you know, she's having these back-to-back wins. October at the Waikato Premier Show at the metre 30. So he's a horse that's come out here to this level and been consistent.
Yes, he's very competitive. He's a careful, fast horse, and he's seemed to have, you know, come over from Europe to New Zealand and hit the ground running, and has, obviously likes the climate here.
Well, I tell you that's a big change, isn't it, from Europe to New Zealand? Very different grass, different lifestyle. The show circuit is different. He's got that long plane ride. There's a lot for the horses to adapt to.
Yes, some horses take it all in their stride, and some horses it does take them a few months or so to get into the New Zealand lifestyle and the way of going, because it is quite a bit different from Europe, yeah.
And we have Sam is currently our fastest clear round, so she's in the jump off aboard Takapoto Malaki. And with her experience We know her training at home has got to be excellent to teach these horses the job required, and obviously her skill in the arena is equal to that.
Yes, she seems to adapt to any horse she sits on, whether it's a slightly more relaxed, slower going horse, or a faster, energetic horse, or a spooky one. But yeah, she's just got all the experience in the world to know how to ride each and every different horse.
And if we talk about the horse she had before, who was very slow in his way of going, easy ground covering, and then this one's a little bit more into the bridle and pulling her to the fences, like you said, yet again, doing a wonderful job on two very different rides.
Yes, beautiful job. And she just sits so quietly and patiently on the horses and lets them just do the job.
Yes, and for those who aren't familiar with the sport of show jumping, maybe watching at home, you know, these riders on their back, it's all about balance. It's not only about placing the horse in the corners and setting up the right rhythm, but the balance in the air, as we see Sam yet again pull off a beautiful clear round for us.
Made it look easy.
She did. Must be all that international experience. It's great to have Olympic riders here riding at the Easter Jumping Festival as Sam takes two through now. She's got the two fastest clear rounds, so she has two through the jump off. And here's another rider we welcome back, Vicky Wilson. We saw her earlier, and this time she rides Millionaire VWNZ.
Yes, Vicky with two horses in the class, so again, having just to juggle the warm-up and the ride and adapt to a different horse from her last one, which was the lovely grey stallion.
Beautiful looking stallion. But this horse here, an 8-year-old chestnut gelding, standing at 159 centimetres, so not a tall chap. And he's a warm-blood thoroughbred cross who's putting a bit of vigour in between the fences as well.
Yeah, I think Vicky just sort of gave him a little bit, I think she just gave him a little bit of a hurry up to focus on the job, and he just didn't quite like that.
No, he didn't, and that's the thing. We're riding personalities as well, and that's quite rare to see Vicky come off a horse. I think she's probably missed stickability, but she really didn't stand much chance there. There was a moment.
Yes, he definitely, he was not going to be told what to do today.
He was not feeling it.
No.
And this is what we're dealing with. You know, there's personalities out there. And just lost a little bit of balance as he gave a big jump there, and then he just said, "No, sorry, Mum, you're on your own." Disappointing,
yeah,
but
that was a shame.
Vicky is certainly a professional, and she's just going to be probably a little bit annoyed by that. Brush herself off, and she'll be straight back on the horse, no doubt, out there in the warm-up. But she looked fine, so now we welcome Samantha Morrison, and she rides Corfu, a 10-year-old dark brown gelding, standing at 167 centimetres by Eurosport Centavos, who's been an Olympic Cup winner.
Yes, Eurosport Centavos is a lovely stallion himself. He has won the New Zealand Horse of the Year, and he's travelled over to America and competed very successfully over there as well, and now, producing some lovely offspring as well. And this gelding was bred by James Jackson, who's been a successful event rider, show jump rider, and equine dentist. And Sam's had this horse for a few seasons now, and does a great job with him, and very competitive with him as well, wins a lot of prizes.
And she's actually based with Vicky Wilson in the Hawke's Bay, and she's been the winner of World Cup rounds in Hastings. She has done extremely well, hasn't she, at the highest level, metre-60 jumping.
Yes, Sam also took a few horses over to Australia and was based over there for a couple of seasons and gained some great experience jumping against the Australian guys over there.
And that's a great thing for a lot of our professional New Zealand show jump riders. They get to travel and see the world as well whilst loving the sport, making lifelong friends. Unfortunately, 2 rails down there for Corfu. Sees them with 8 penalty points. And just a couple more left in this Sky Sport Next metre 30, 35, $10,000 final. And second to last in the class, we welcome Brooke Hawthorne, and she rides Ziggy Stardust GNZ, another wonderful Golden Grove horse bred by Paul and Pip Folks. Paul, the character, the Welshman down there in Canterbury, who breeds many, many horses every year, puts his heart and soul into preparing horses for show jumping and eventing and watching them carry on. He's got horses in every discipline, won't he?
Yes, he breeds some fantastic horses down there, and extremely versatile. Show jumping, eventing, dressage, you name it, they're competitive at whatever sport they're doing.
An absolute character. I've seen their daughter has the pony sometimes in the house.
Okay. Yes.
It's a true horsey family when mum and dad allow the pony in at the dinner table. But yeah, lovely family who've produced many horses. And this is an 11-year-old bay gelding standing at 164 centimetres. Warm blood by Lansing. Again, now Lansing has produced many horses, and out of a Corlando mare, of course, Paul standing those stallions down there. Imported both Lansing and Corlando, I believe.
Yes, they've been great stallions for the New Zealand sport, both Lansing and Corlando, so that's a lovely cross. And it shows with the results, with a young rider win for Brooke this season, and also at the Auckland Show Jumping Show, another one there in the young rider. So, and it's great Beautiful
to see another clear round.
And Brooke's a really lovely fast rider in the jump off, so that will be
We're
neat
looking
to watch.
forward to that. And at just 18 years of age, those sharp reflexes of the youth be put to test. So our last rider, we welcome Keen Cooper aboard Pythia. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so,
Pythia?
yes. Yeah, Pythia.
Sorry if I got that wrong there. A 10-year-old bay mare standing at 165 centimetres, again by that lovely imported French stallion, Lindbergh, that lovely warm blood, out of again another Corlando mare. Corlando was a busy boy.
Yes, he was. And it's interesting, a lot of the mothers, the mares, are by Corlando, so he's obviously produced very good mare lines.
Well, I have to admit, my top brood mare was by Corlando, bred by Paul Folks. So again, I can certainly testify I bred some fantastic jumpers out of her. I think she's 20 now and had probably 16 foals.
Oh, wow. She's been busy.
She has been busy. She's deserved her retirement now. And, unfortunately, we're not going to see the lucky last entering the jump-off for us. But, look, they've had a wonderful show at this festival. They've actually had 2 wins in the metre 30 at this very festival, which is why we're seeing them last in the arena. But, sometimes that happens, and this is not going to plan for them.
Yeah, it could just be that today the horse might be just a little bit tired and a little bit switched off to the job. But as we said before, next weekend there's another show, and come out fresh and go again.
Exactly. And look, they're athletes like us. We can work hard one day and feel a little bit tired or a bit gym sore the next day, and that's what we're dealing with as a rider. And I'm sure he's sitting up there feeling, okay, this isn't our day, but we'll just nurse you around and get you home.
Yeah, it's good that he's just sort of slowed it down, kept his composure, and is just trying to finish the course, with a little bit, with a bit of confidence, but just didn't quite get the stride in there.
And look, all riders could empathise there. It is gutting. You've come off the back of a couple of wins. You're in the final, and you just sit there thinking, okay, I've got to go back to the stable now and find out, what's up and put it behind us and move on.
Yeah, it's hard to, when he had the first fence down, and it's hard to then sort of recover and get going, and it just didn't quite flow today, unfortunately, for him.
So it looks like we're going to be welcoming 7 riders into the jump-off. Now, I think this is going to be exciting. We've got 2 rides by Sam McIntosh in our lineup. We've got Brooke Hawthorne as well, Natasha Brooks on that beautiful Versace C. Glenn Beale, our accountant from Auckland, is in the arena, will be in the arena aboard Soprano. The beautiful ride of Sally Steiner aboard Cartoon NZPH. You picked that horse, Brooke, right at the start. And, of course, Briar Burnett Grant has one as well. Now, can I put you on the spot here and say, what do you think we're going to see?
Oh, there's all of them are very fast, competitive riders. So, I'd hate to pick a winner here. What about you?
I think Sam's going to give it a really, really good nudge. And then you mentioned our young rider is fast.
Yes, Brooke Hawthorne. Yep, I would agree with you there. Sam and Brooke Hawthorne might be battling it out, but it could be one of those sorts of jump-offs where everyone goes hell for leather and it might just be the steady clear round that wins. Exactly,
because of course you can have the fastest round, but if you take a rail, you're not going to win it. It goes to the clear round. So yes, and of course they come out in order, so the person who comes out last will know what's ahead of them. They'll know if there's a clear fast. They've got to give it everything, because a lot of these riders, they're not content with second, third or fourth, are they? They're there to win.
Yeah, when you go in the ring, it's you sort of think, I'm here to win, and second place sometimes is the first loser.
Exactly. Even though they've still got some good prize money. Look, I tell you what.
Very good prize money down to 6th or 7th, I think. Yeah.
$3,000 for first, $2,450 for second, so that would take a little bit of the sting out of being the first loser. $1,900 for third, $1,350 for fourth, $800 for fifth, and $500 for sixth. So it's great to see such encouraging prize money, which will really tempt a pretty good jump off.
Yes, Tony and Colin McIntosh have done a fabulous job.
They have done a wonderful job, haven't they?
They've done a wonderful job organising the show and getting sponsors behind to, create some fantastic prize money.
Well, I did chat with Sam McIntosh earlier, so let's have a listen to her and see what her predictions were for today, maybe. Sam, it's wonderful to grab a quick moment with you when we know you're so busy. Now, you have an incredible mare that has come back from overseas with you. Tell me a little bit about her travelling so far.
Yes, my mare, Alaide de Chanou, came back with me in June last year. We've had a great season. She's had managed to win the World Cup here in December, which was exciting, and she's progressing every show I take her to, so we have big hopes for this weekend.
And as a Grand Prix rider, you've spent a lot of your career based in Europe, all around the place. What has it finally brought you home?
Okay, COVID basically, but I'm happy to have the opportunity to come home. It's an exciting time in the sport in New Zealand at the moment. There's a lot of advancement going on with some shows this weekend, the shows at Takapoto, so we're just trying to bring the whole general level up.
Now, Sam, you've been on good form this season. Are we going to see you in the ring here this weekend with nothing but that win in your eyes?
I certainly hope so. That's the goal. We've been building up towards the show for the last month with a few unfortunate cancellations, but this is the one to win.
Well, Sam, we wish you all the best.
Thanks very much.
Well, you see Sam very focused, and she has 2 rides in this class, so it will be exciting to see the jump off. And it was lovely to have Brooke Edgecombe with us, co-commentating for the Easter Jumping Festival in our first class. We're coming to you live today, the Sky Sport Next horse metre 30-35, but she's had to leave us now. She's in the next class, the metre 40-45 final. So she's headed away to get ready for that. But it was lovely to have her commentary, as we're going to be seeing 7 horses coming back into the arena. And it's going to be fierce out there. A clear, fast round will take out first place in the Sky Sport Next metre 30-35 $10,000 final. There's some minor adjustments being made to the course now. Horses will be getting ready in the warm-up. And we will welcome the first rider back into the arena shortly. The crowd's certainly building now around the arena, adding to the atmosphere for these horses. A bit of excited buzz in the air. And this is the first time the Easter Jumping Festival has been held. It's the baby of Colin and Tony McIntosh. And it is great to have this show as we welcome Natasha Brooks aboard Versace C into the arena. Our first jump-off rider. We saw this magnificently presented horse owned by Natasha's Brook Nick, who's an event rider based overseas. This horse by Voltaire 2, standing at 167.5 centimetres, a striking 13-year-old black gelding. Now it'll be interesting to see Natasha's going around the course now. It's a shortened course being a jump off. Jumps a little bit higher. And the course is designed to test the rider's bravery. How fast can you go? How quick can you turn? Where can you shave off those valuable seconds, cut corners, duck in between other jumps? How much of a run-up do you need to the fence, or can you just turn tight on it? Can you angle the fence? You'll see all these things as riders put their horses and themselves to the test to try and take away first prize. And the bell has rung now for Natasha Brooks aboard Versace C. See the clock counting down. Riders have 40 seconds to get through the start flags once the bell sounds. And she's used her time wisely there just to regroup as she crosses the start line. A little bit of a rub there, but leaves it up. She's coming on to a tight turn, kicks onto that Oxford there. Beautifully done by Versace C. And again to an upright. You can see him really kicking out. He knows his job, this boy. The treble bar there, beautiful jump. This magnificent black horse. Again, she's showing a really fast and tight round here. Oh, it'll pay off at the double here. Oh, unfortunately. Couple down there, but that was a very clever ride into that. It could have paid off. Unfortunately, it did not. But that's a fast time, 38.75. But unfortunately, 8 faults there. But, you know, she gave it everything. You can certainly give her full credit for that as we welcome our second into the jump-off, Briar Burnett Grant aboard Fibre Fresh Chassal. Just a 7-year-old Holsteiner by Coleman out of a great mare by Casal. So bred to be a show jumper. Bred, in fact, by Karen Burnett, who's Briar's mother. Briar's a real cool customer. When she was just a young dot and won the Horse of the Year, the Olympic Cup, she just never seems to look like nerves get to her. She's always cool, calm, collected as she stands at the gate. And a beautiful rider to boot. Just 20 years of age. Did a good job there to get the attention back onto the fence there. Not going quite as fast as Versace. But Briar is just on a young horse here, being 7. Obviously going for the clear round. Her coach, no doubt, would have prepped her outside the arena, but giving that a tight turn into the double. My goodness, this horse has some scope. Oh, gets in tight to that one and leaves it up. What a very clever jumping horse here for Fibre Fresh Chassal. And Briar will be delighted about that. 46.63. So that lays down the challenge for all riders coming in now. Another stylish rider, Sally Steiner, aboard Cartoon NZPH. And again, we see another rider who's always very focused. We saw that beautiful first round by Cartoon NZPH, coming in just a little over a second under the time. Every stride, everything seemed to go perfectly, and perfectly to plan for Sally. A very experienced rider. And again, a 9-year-old horse here has been taken on and brought up slowly through the heights by Sally, carefully produced. Beautiful jump there over the first. Looks to be a little bit quicker. Going around the Land Rover vertical there, giving that a nice clear jump, a little bit of a woo, she says, as he gets keen. Lovely, huge jump there of the triple bar. This horse seriously with some scope, clearing the top of the stands by the looks of it there. Again, another big jump. Nice to be giving the fences that much clearance, but more time in the air means more time on the clock. She gave that an economical run. Now she's at the last, leaves it up. There's a pretty good looking time there. But not quite enough to take out first place. Maybe going around that early jump between the first and second fences just added the seconds onto the clock there. But she will be pleased with that round. What a beautiful jumping horse there. So Briar Burnett Grant with her nice steady round early on, but economical. She's the one to beat. As we see our accountant from Auckland, Glenn Beale, aboard Soprano, entering the arena on this 8-year-old bay mare by Lordano out of a Senator mare. So again, a beautifully purpose-bred Holsteiner. And Glenn, a very competitive rider, having many good wins under his belt. He chooses to come inside the upright there and makes a beautiful effort there over that very square oxer. Again, another big leap there over the triple bar. Oh, has to pull off the wall there. I think Soprano had sighted that. Again, another tight turn into this combination, giving it plenty of air. What can he do at the last? Ooh, he gave it a good nudge, didn't he? But just pops ahead there of Sally Steiner, but not enough to take out first place. So Briar will be feeling nervous outside, waiting to see. But this lady, Sam McIntosh, on her first ride in the jump off for this class, the Sky Sport Next metre 30 to 35 $10,000 final at the Taupo National Equestrian Centre for the Easter Jumping Festival. And this time Sam rides Takapoto James S, a beautifully bred horse by Corofino 2 out of a Heartbreaker mare, and beautifully produced. Just a young horse at 8. But Sam, international experience, Olympics experience. See that lovely turn there. She just kicked on through, shaving valuable strides off there. Oh, unfortunately gets a little bit deep to that upright. Lovely big jump over the triple bar though. So this horse, unfortunately, she'll know, will not be taking out the win here. But any 4 falters will be the fastest 4 falter to take out the next place after all the clear rounds. So time is still important. And she had a good time there at 48.1, so one could argue it could have been quicker had she gone clear. But she still has one more ride. And I'm sorry, that was Takapoto Malaki, so it might have been. Maybe there. That was Takapoto Malaki, so her next ride will be Takapoto James S. And there'll be a slight gap in proceedings because Sam is allowed time now, obviously, to warm up her next horse. So the one to beat at the moment is Briar Burnett Grant aboard her lovely Fibre Fresh. And she had a time of 46.63. Second place, Glenn Beale aboard Soprano. He was just under 2 seconds slower, 48.47 was his time. Sally Steiner aboard Cartoon NZPH. Again, beautiful, clear round there, a little bit, just half a second slower than Glenn. And those are our 3 clear rounds to date, with just Sam McIntosh aboard Takapoto James S to enter the arena now. And then we'll see that lovely young rider, Brooke Hawthorne. So while we're waiting for Sam to warm up, we'll just have a catch up with Tony McIntosh, our show director. Tony, you're a busy lady. You've been all over the show here today, and no wonder you're the show director. Now, this is your baby. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts and of the show.
We came back from overseas 12 months ago, and when we saw this lovely big indoor arena, I had a vision to do something quite special here. So I guess what I've done is wanted to bring a little bit of international flavour to New Zealand.
And what are your plans moving forward, and what's the feedback been like from the riders?
The feedback's been amazing, and it's super exciting, and I'm really excited for tomorrow. Going forward, love to turn it into a series, do a series of 3 throughout the year. So the New Zealand show jumping season is quite short compared to everything else internationally. So I'd really like to extend the season. It gives us more option with horses, and then we can invite international riders because it's their season as well. So we can invite them over to look at horses to purchase, to ride, and really turn New Zealand into an international show jumping scene.
Now, being a Kiwi yourself and having spent 17 years now being a professional in the horse world in America, what are the big differences you see on the American circuit to here, and what are maybe some of the nice things about New Zealand?
I think the really lovely things about New Zealand is we're still Kiwis, and we still have a little bit of what I like to say, a little bit of Kiwi yeehaw, and we can just get up and make it work. We can make it happen. The nice thing about the things in Europe and in America is there's a proper system in place for training. The shows go longer. They usually go anything from 6 to 4 days. That's, a 4-day show is quite a short show. And we have circuits that go on so at Thermal, we are there for 8 to 9 weeks.
Well, thank you, Tony. We love having you back here. It's certainly a benefit for us, and we look forward to seeing what this incredible show will become.
Thank you very much.
So it was great to hear from Tony McIntosh there, and it's wonderful to have Kiwis returning from America and bringing all that experience with them, and the vision and the passion that riders have for the sport. Tony and Colin, of course, being very successful riders themselves at the highest level, and wonderful to bring that passion and commitment back and want to produce ongoing shows and support for the upcoming riders and current riders. It's wonderful to see. And what a beautiful venue we have here, being in the Taupo at the National Equestrian Centre. This centre's been around for a very long time. I would hate to guess how many years, but wonderful to see this new indoor being built. And the surface is fantastic, the jumps, the quality. Riders who have ridden overseas have said this is very much an international standard, and that is what we need in New Zealand, to give the riders and the horses that experience to see what it would be like competing overseas. And of course, Sam McIntosh being one of those riders who's been based overseas for many years, riding at the highest level and having results on a huge variety of horses. And this time we welcome Takapoto James S with the very famous and established and successful rider Sam McIntosh herself, her second ride. And again, you can see that composure. So she's gone out there, had a quick turnaround to warm up this horse with 2 horses in the jump off. And no doubt this horse is a very different ride from Malaki, who we just saw. So she'll have a different plan for him, but she'll know what she needs to do to beat Briar Burnett Grant, because of course that's her goal going into this. All these riders want to win, fiercely competitive, great friends in the warm-up arena, but fiercely competitive in the ring. As she hits the first there, beautifully done through the start flags. Again, she's coming around that corner, shaves off those seconds. Galloping down to an upright, that's a bold move. Again, it didn't pay off. Oh, beautiful big jump there. She will be disappointed with that upright, but that's the sport of show jumping. Takapoto, James S., some beautiful big jumping there. Striking at looking at Belgian warm blood. Obviously with a big future, especially if Sam's riding him. As she comes into the last, oh, and a pretty good time. She would have taken out first place with that time, 45.61. That was a little more than a second faster than Briar Burnett Grant. Right, now Brooke Edgecombe picked it before. She said Brooke Hawthorne is a very fast show jump off rider, and she's aboard Ziggy Stardust GNZ. They've had a good couple of young rider wins this season. Oh, Brooke is young, just 18 years of age, but she is competitive. She'll know exactly what she needs to do to beat Briar. Good careful jump there over the first. Come on, kicks onto that again, a lovely ride. This upright. Oh, gives it a rub, but again, it stays in place. That's all that matters. Kicks on beautifully to the treble bar. She's got a bit of pace on. I think this is looking quite quick on the clock. Oh, she swings around here. She may have taken a bit more time to get to this double. As she comes round to the last, the Land Rover upright. Can she do it? That looked pretty good to me. Don't want to say it, but I think Brooke Edgecombe picked it. And that's a beautiful win, shaving nearly 3 seconds off the time of Briar Burnett Grant. It often happens right to the wire, last rider in the arena, and she does it. Brooke Hawthorne aboard this amazing Ziggy Stardust GNZ, bred by Paul and Pip Fox in the South Island in Canterbury at Golden Grove in New Zealand. Wonderful to see yet another win from such committed breeders for the sport.
Yes, confirming the winner of the Sky Sport Next at meter 30, meter 35 class, and $3,000 better off Brooke Hawthorne.
So that is $3,000 more in the pocket of Brooke Hawthorne there aboard Ziggy Stardust GNZ. What a wonderful weekend she has had. Briar Burnett Grant will take out second place. Glenn Beale in third, our accountant from Auckland. The wonderful Sally Steiner, the beautiful ride there. Again, she takes out fourth. And Sam McIntosh taking out fifth and sixth aboard her two in this class. A beautiful, well-contested ride and a delight to watch. The Sky Sport Next, meter 30, 35, $10,000 final. And soon there will be a mounted prize giving for those successful riders. And at approximately 12:05, we will see the Fibre Fresh horse, meter 40, 45, $10,000 final. And Brooke even picks up an extra prize there for the most successful rider under 20 in the Sky Sport Next meter 30, 35 class. So she'll be delighted with that.
That goes to Brian Eckhart's final fresh Chessel. So 2 awards for her as well in this class. 2 special prizes, which will also be presented at the...
And of course we have to thank the wonderful arena crew who have been so busy this weekend. Pip Howells has been designing these wonderful courses. She's had the help of Ed Bullock as well here, and the wonderful arena crew who have tirelessly checked the jumps, moved the jumps, and then the wonderful staff here who have made sure that the going in this arena is absolutely foot perfect. A beautifully run event by everyone here, by the organisers, by Tony and Colin McIntosh, and wonderful to have this incredible equestrian property, the Taupō National Equestrian Centre, with this purpose-built, newly built indoor arena. And it certainly has attracted the crowds as well. So the Easter Jumping Festival show, the baby of Tony and Colin McIntosh, the first time for this show here, and they have big plans to make it a series and to extend the season, to give horse and rider combinations more opportunity and more prize money to fight for, which we've just seen there in the Sky Sport Next metre 30-35 with the fierce riders there and combinations coming in to contest that $10,000 final prize pool. And we see this beautiful horse, Ziggy Stardust GNZ. He's about to enter the arena now with Brooke Hawthorne aboard. He's got the winner's rosette and the winner's rug on. And Brooke with the winning sash. Brian Burnett Grant also gaining a special award there. And the presentation for these riders in the Sky Sport Next metre 30-35 $10,000 final. It's been a few busy days for them at the show. And Brooke will be absolutely delighted, being just 18 years of age, a student, coming from Cambridge, so she hasn't had to travel too far to Taupō. What a wonderful win for her after a very successful season with a couple of wins under her belt as a young rider in the Young Rider Series. And again, Brian Burnett Grant just being 20 years of age. So we see two of our youngest competitors in this class taking up first and second. Brian having been a winner from the age of 10 at Horse of the Year, winning Ponies of the Year, being a very successful rider, 10 years on, transitioning well to horses. She has won the Olympic Cup title as well at Horse of the Year, the Horse of the Year show jumping title.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the...
So it's good to see the prize winners there getting congratulated by Tony McIntosh. And it was wonderful bringing you the Sky Sport Next metre 30 to metre 35 final. So make sure you come back again and join us, as we'll be delighted to bring you the next class. And that'll be at approximately 12:05, the Fibre Fresh Horse metre 40 to 45 $10,000 final.